Namaskar friends, this is NJ, your host on this channel. So friends, in this video we will have our discussion on the importance of the Rahu and Ketu. The Rahu Ketu axis in the Navamsa chart or in the D9 chart. So like the way before presenting any topic, I always share the backstory which actually gave me the inspiration to talk and select that topic for that day. So this could be a case that these days Venus is strengthened in the transit, especially at the time when I'm recording this video. So lately I'm getting a lot of the relationship consultation, and the pressing issue in majority of the consultation is about the marriage. So, and obviously friends, you only go to an astrologer where you are struck in specific area of the life. And whenever we talk about all those complexities of the life where you're not able to find any answer with rationality, with proper thought, logic and reasoning, so Rahu and Ketu plays a very key role over there. So I just thought in this video we can have our quick discussion on this as well. Friends, obviously on my channel I'm sure I would have talked about this topic in some of the previously uploaded video, but same like you, I'm also growing in my life. I'm also growing with my knowledge, with my research as well. So take it with open mind. So now talking about the importance of the Rahu and Ketu and the D9 chart. So for all those people who are new to Vedic astrology, so friends, D9 chart actually is the most important chart. I would still say that your external circumstances in the life, the promise in your life only comes from the Lagna chart, from the D1 chart. But when we talk about the deeper subtle forces, then you have to verify the same claim from the D9 chart. So let's say for example, if in someone's case there has been a pattern going on that you always run into partners who cheat onto you, or in the relationship you always run onto people who are very old, very mature to you, you always keep on getting into very unstable kind of relationship. So what is happening? That is the D1 chart, but why it is happening, that you get to know from the D9 chart. So Navamsa chart is like the underlying forces of whatever you see on the scene. Behind the force is always the D9 chart. Friends, I will not talk about in this video that what is the criteria of judging the strength of Rahu and Ketu. I'm sure that if you are connected with my astrology community, or even if you follow astrology from past so long years, you would be knowing this thing that Rahu and Ketu are considered as strong, like especially Rahu in the Upacha Bhava, Rahu in the Mercury, Venus or the Saturn signs, Rahu conjunct with an exalted planet or Mool Trikona or own signed planet conjunct with them, or even if the dispositor of the Rahu and Ketu are strengthened, so they are considered as strong. So you can say that the nodal axis is strong in the case of this person. Now friends, why Rahu and Ketu are important? Have you ever given any thought to that? See, Rahu and Ketu are important because all other planets represents a specific area of the life, experience of the life. Like for example, many times people get misinterpreted. Like for example, when it comes down to the destiny, they give attention to Jupiter and Saturn. But if I were to share that, frankly, Jupiter just tells about the blessings, to be more precise. Saturn tells about the friction and all the dues which you have to pay, and your capacity to attain greatness through struggle and through hardship. That is what Saturn represents in the chart. And Venus about love, relationship, Mercury about your intelligence. But in true sense, if there is one planet or one like axis in the chart which can be purely said as the prarabdha, as the destiny, so Rahu and Ketu can be given credit to that. And that is the only reason. It's like all the surprise things which happens, all that kind of latent and dormant talents which you had in you but it was hidden, and suddenly some event happened and it clicked and it suddenly came on the surface. Now this could happen, as many astrologers say, that after marriage D9 chart gets active. See, the prime age of Rahu and Ketu, people see it's a very vague term when people say that in the second half of the life. Now what shall I assume second half? It's like after 30, after 36. So if I were to say the purely in a purest essence, the age attached, assigned to Rahu and Ketu are From 42 to 56, like 42 is when Rahu matures, 48 when Ketu matures, and generally it has been seen like time period from 42 to 56, if Rahu and Ketu axis is strengthened in someone's life, this is going to be the phase when these people grow with leaps and bounds. And vice versa, if that axis is bad in your case, so all of your like fall in the life, fall from the grace will happen in this period of the time. And so like the way I was telling you about that, when it comes down to the D9 chart, it is a very important chart because it is like a elaborative explanation or version of the most important house of your ascendant chart, which is the 9th house. So that means D9 chart is equally important in the case of someone who is not only interested in getting married or getting into the matrimonial duties, I mean to say through the arrival of a partner, spouse or marriage, this D9 chart gets activated, but also in all those cases where someone has completely abandoned all the material worldly duties and have embraced the dharma, have embraced the God as his soul partner. So which could be the case of people who become a monk, people who become like priest, sadhu, nuns. So even in their case, D9 chart is equally important because you have accepted God and the God realization as your final destiny. So, and see friends, that is the only reason there are like certain words in Hindi which cannot be exactly translated in English. So for example, for long time in India, in traditional families, they just don't call your wife as wife. They call it as the Dharam Patni. So now I do not know what is going to be the English translation of the Dharam Patni, religious wife. So that is what I'm trying to say, that is the only reason that once you get married, D9 chart gets activated. And the time or the age allotted to the D9 chart is, as per me, is from 42 to the 56 years of the age. This is the time. If Rahu and Ketu axis is strengthened, if you are born with a special, extraordinary, unusual destiny, so this is the time when it will unfold in front of you. And Rahu and Ketu are master when it comes down to keeping things secret. So whatever you will get, you will achieve, or whatever you will be doing, or whatever will come in front of you, life will bring to you in this period of your life. So when you are born, when you are young, when you are like in your adolescent age, everything is going to be hidden from you. And that is the only reason, friends, like astrology is also a field where no matter how many books you study, how much research you do, you need to give it some time, because I'm sure, like, you know, the specific target audience for the YouTube platform is mostly the Gen Z, like, you know, people who are in their early 20s, mid 20s. I'm sure, like the way you follow me, you would be following other creators, you would be doing self-study through different books, you might have done a course as well, but this is a kind of a field where you have to give it some time. So let's say, for example, if you feel that some astrologer has told you, you have gotten a consultation from an astrologer, and that astrologer has told you that your Rahu Ketu axis is very strong and these are the gifts and talents you have and they will manifest, and you are like, you know, ridiculing that astrologer, that how come he made that prediction. I do not have any sign of that in my life. I don't even have that as my goals in my distant future. But if Rahu and Ketu axis is potent, powerful, you have to give it some time. That is what I'm trying to say. Now friends, talking about our today's discussion, which is about the marriage. So the role of the D9 chart over there. So like the way I mentioned, friends, like when we open up the D9 chart, Navamsa chart, which gives you a synopsis of your marriage or the impact, influence of the marriage in your life journey, in your soul journey, in your soul evolution. So every other planet has got a say. Like Jupiter will tell about that how much blessing will come to you once you get married, once you get committed to someone. Saturn will tell about the hardship, kind of structure, discipline, how many things, tangible things. We all have seen that. It's like, you know, someone was reckless with the money, but once you got married, you become very sincere, you started saving money, you end up like buying multiple properties and all. that could be the domain of Saturn working through the D9 chart after marriage. Venus is about the love, harmony, passion. Mars is again about the physical attraction. That is all the domain of the Mars. But when we talk about Rahu and Ketu, they activate those things where knowingly, unknowingly, consciously or subconsciously your partner, your spouse or marriage plays an integral role in delivering your destiny. I again want to stick to the same thing, that out of all the 9 planets, if there is one axis or one pair of planets which can be attributed as the planet of destiny, they are Rahu and Ketu. For this discussion sake, just look at Jupiter as the planet of the blessing. And along with that, friends, like all those kind of situation where people get into, like, you know, getting married to a old partner, getting married to a young partner, or like getting very famous immediate after getting married, or losing everything immediately after getting married. So Rahu and Ketu plays a very significant role over there. So Rahu and Ketu in your D9 chart will deliver you your encrypted destiny. Marriage, partner will play a very significant role over there. See, it's not an exaggeration to say this thing that Rahu's placement is like your soul's mission, and Ketu's placement in the D9 chart is your soul's memory. So one is about soul's mission, knowingly, unknowingly you are chasing or pursuing something, and Ketu's placement is about the memory. See friends, when I started making this video, ever since I moved to Canada, I bought this Buddha statue. Somehow, knowingly or unknowingly, this statue has always been there in my videos. Now when I did that, I did not pay any thought to that. But now I am very regular to a Buddhist group in Vancouver, in Richmond, and I'm learning meditation through them, like the Bodhi Dharma. So things which we do subconsciously without even paying attention, through that Rahu and Ketu are working. A force which is like, especially in those cases where people are like, they just go with the flow, they don't plan many things, they just live day by day, they are very grateful. Over there Rahu and Ketu has got a very strong say, because that is like your soul's memory. And with Rahu there is a mission where unconsciously the underlying forces are putting you in a specific path. So friends, I will not get into the details of taking up all the placements, because we already have had our discussion on that on the previous occasion. I will just give you a synopsis, a brief overview, because obviously you have given your valuable time to me to watch this video. So let me give you some like takeaway from this video. So let's say for example, if in your D9 chart your Rahu and Ketu axis is in the 1st house and the 7th house. So friends, this is one of the very important placement. Now okay, I will not say that this is good, this is bad, because for that we have to take into consideration their dispositor and the zodiac sign placement, the conjunction. But one thing is for sure, that there is a part of the destiny which after marriage will unravel, will unfold for sure. And all those possibilities of like we say unusual marriage, unconventional marriage, marrying a foreign partner, or like irrespective of being an eligible candidate, not being able to find someone, and when it will happen like a flash of light, with like divine ordained, divine planned, everything. So that is this axis, like this is the axis of individuality and the partnership. 2nd house and the 8th house, so your resources, your virtues, your values, and the major transformation. So no matter whether Rahu is in the 2nd house or it's like the Ketu is in the 2nd house, but what is hidden and what will be delivered to you through marriage, or that part of the prarabdha, the marriage matrimonial karma, that will have a say over your position, over the major transformation where partner and marriage will play a very key role. If it's about the 3rd house and the 9th house, so we know this thing that 3rd house is the house of our efforts, our communication, and 9th house is the house of the highest form of the wisdom. So that also tells about that those pieces of wisdom which are inaccessible to you right now, over there marriage or your partner will play a key role in bringing that out, that is the part of the encrypted destiny which after marriage only will unfold for you, and you might be more empowered after marriage. Fourth house, 10th house, so we know this thing that your career, your ambition, your domestic life, all of that is attached over here. So that means through marriage, through the arrival of the partner, your career can actually take a big leap immediate after getting married. You might become more family oriented, or this could be vice versa. If it's about the 5th house and the 11th house, we know this thing that 5th house is the house of the personal creativity. 5th house is also the house of the Pur Punya, past life merit. So the channeling of the dormant talents, or this could be something expertise from the past, is very much accessible with this kind of access of Rahu and Ketu. And we know this thing that the mass appeal, mass fame, and access to the elite groups and all generally happens with this kind of access. Rahu and Ketu can suddenly give you access that it can suddenly turn around your life after marriage, major wishes in majority of the areas of the life, whatever you want to achieve, whatever you want to become. Partner, marriage, spouse might play a key role in providing you that. And friends, let's say for example, if it is the 6th house and the 12th house, so we say this thing that all that thing which is like very transcendental in nature, so marriage, partner, spouse can play a key role over there. It can actually make you very competitive as well, very fierce as well, like whatever areas of the life where you are battling, you are struggling, so partner, marriage might play a key role in either reinforcing that or making things more troublesome for you. Marriage will play a very key role. So yes friends, this was a small video. For further more updates and notification on the divine science of Vedic astrology, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on my Instagram account. Dhanyawad.